Ah, that classic startup screen. Anybody who's familiar with this opening is greeted with pure joy and nostalgia. The Nintendo GameCube was released in Japan on September 14th, 2001, followed by North America on November 18th, 2001, and Europe on May 3rd, 2002, competing against formidable opponents such as the Sony PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, and Microsoft Xbox. Let's talk about the controller first. This controller may look weird, but it's actually comfortable to hold. Definitely a step up from the Nintendo 64 controller. There's a Z button, which by today's standards would be R1, but no button on the other side. Overall, the buttons seem out of place, but with enough practice, you'll be able to master these controls. Plus, this right here is the definitive way to play Smash Bros. Honestly, this controller is so unique, and I feel like we won't ever see something like this again. Next, the console itself. It plays games and it's a cube. This console is very portable. With a handle on the back and being light in weight, you could definitely just pick the sucker up and travel to a friend's house no problem. Or your Uncle Franklin's house. Really anywhere. The console also comes with the ability to connect ports such as the Game Boy player. I almost bought one for this review, but nobody selling it was willing to cough up the disc needed to use the Game Boy player. Finding it is like discovering the Holy Grail. Grapes is fake. There are 4 controller ports for you and other people to be able to play your games. And if you have 4 controllers connected at the same time, you all hold the Z button and this happens. There's also 2 memory slots. I really don't know what else to say about the console itself, so let's try some games. I'm not going to go into too much detail and analysis on the games because I feel like they could be their own separate videos. Metroid Prime. I've heard many people say that this is the best GameCube game ever made, so we have to check it out. It was $35, which isn't terrible, but come on! Did they really have to put the sticker on the front? Couldn't they have placed it on the back? I'm really digging the sci-fi elements of Metroid Prime, and to be honest, Metroid wasn't a game I got into until I was like 17 or 18. This game is a first-person shooter, but you can also switch from combat to a scanning mode. Sometimes you're required to scan objects to progress, and other times it's optional. I find that satisfying to know that I don't have to scan everything to play the game, even though I'm going to anyway. Now, while this game is so far fun, and turning into a ball is cool and shooting aliens in the face, I do have to talk about the controls. To be blunt, I despise the way the camera is handled in this so far. There's an analog stick on the controller designated for the camera, but the game wants me to hold down the right bumper while aiming with the movement stick and then hold down the left bumper to lock on a target and fire with A. Don't you think that it would have been better to just map all the camera movement and aiming to the camera stick? I thought these controls wouldn't affect me too bad, but then I got to the first boss and I was struggling to do this quickly enough. And yes, Jared, I know you probably beat this in your first try with no issues, but honestly I was struggling here. I'll come back to this game later in a different video, but for now, let's move on to The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. This is one of the only Zelda games I've actually never played. And the game has some smooth controls. You actually use the camera stick for what it's supposed to be. The analog stick for movement is smooth and natural, and the options to map your items to whatever button you like besides A and B is nice. You start off on an island with your sister reminding you it's her birthday. Then you go see your grandma and she gives you new clothes. Thanks, Grandma. Did you bring your old grandma some animal crackers? Shut up, Grandma. You go back to your sister to receive another gift. This one is a telescope. You use it to look at your mailbox.
The postman looks kinda weird, doesn't he?
Yeah, you f***ing think? Then some birds show up and drop some girl off into the forest. At this point, I was trying to figure out how to go and rescue her. Where's the sword and shield I can obtain? This guy only cares about pigs, and Grandma don't know where that shit is. So I talked to this guy who had a big forehead and essentially told me his brother is a dumbass and he lives in a basement. So I visited the dipshit in the basement and he gave me the sword and some training. Now we can go to the forest and fight some enemies off, only for the girl to be ungrateful, which leads to Hulk Hogan's sister getting kidnapped by a bird and flying off. And a friendly bird guy, I think they're mailman, tells the girl from the forest to be nice and that her and her pirate friend should help me locate the bird and my sister. They agree, but only if I go find a shield. So I go back to Grandma's house and steal the shield. Grandma, give me that shit! This is as far as I'm going with the game for this video. The story so far is solid and to the point, despite the opening sequence being 5 minutes, and the controls are very smooth. The graphics for Zelda Wind Waker are also pretty good. I dig the cartoony style. I've heard some people praise this game as the best GameCube game over Metroid Prime. I'll just have to play it a little longer, but so far I really enjoy it. Next we got Shrek Super Slam, and honestly, I'm not even gonna play this. Wait, what the hell? Yeah, no thanks. Alright, fine, let's play some Shrek Super Slam. If you've ever wondered what would happen if the quirky world of Shrek collided with a fast-paced fighting game, then Shrek Super Slam for GameCube is here to answer your wildest dreams. This unique gem takes all the beloved characters from the Shrek universe and throws them into a hilariously chaotic and slamtastic battle arena. I find it odd that the wrestling ring from the first movie is absent, unless you have to unlock it later. And speaking of unlocking, why would I ever want to unlock more characters if all the main characters are present from the start? The gameplay itself is where Shrek Super Slam truly shines. Combining elements of traditional fighting game with a wacky sense of humor, this title offers a delightful twist on the genre. One of the standout features of Shrek Super Slam is its interactive environments. You can grab objects like a pool table and even a gun and fling them at your adversaries to cause some chaos. The stages themselves are packed with hidden surprises, such as blasting your opponent through the wall. These moments of unexpected madness add an extra layer of fun to the already enjoyable gameplay. However, the single-player campaign, while entertaining, can feel a bit repetitive after a while.
Welcome to my crib! Castle-Day gingerbread! The sweetest pie in town! I want to send a shout-out to the Muffin Man!
What the f am I even watching here? The AI opponents sometimes lack the strategic finesse you'd hope for, making matches against the computer less difficult than anticipated. Nevertheless, the multiplayer mode is where the game truly shines. So just grab a few friends and engage in chaotic brawls that will have you laughing and shouting in no time. Here's a classic, WWE Day of Reckoning 2. I wonder what's going to happen if I don't play this game. Luigi's Mansion was released as the first game for the GameCube on September 14, 2001. It introduced players to Luigi's solo adventure in a haunted mansion, utilizing the Poltergust 3000 to capture ghosts and rescue his brother Mario from the mischievous King Boo. On the other hand, NFL 08 served as the last game for the GameCube and was released on August 14, 2007. Published by EA Sports, it offered an immersive football simulation experience, allowing players to control their favorite NFL teams, participate in online multiplayer matches, and create their own players for a career in the NFL. These two games, while seemingly polar opposites, bookended the GameCube's lifespan, providing players with distinct and enjoyable experiences at the beginning and the end of the console's journey. I have more games than I already showed, but I honestly feel like they could be their own separate reviews. What happens if I don't play this one, huh? I'm okay with this.